So our final question of the day is from Natalia on YouTube. And she asks, are there any places in New Zealand better to avoid?
All right, that is a tricky one, but actually, well, we actually did some notes just to be, kind of thorough.
So everyone, would have an opinion on this. Sorry, it just seemed like you didn't know where you were going with that.
Go for it.
Yeah, so obviously everyone would have a different opinion on that. Everyone has different opinions on what safety means, what is safe. But in general, people would generally say that New Zealand is a very safe country. It has quite a low population in New Zealand, and for that reason, you see less crime than in other places around the world. And on that side of things, New Zealand is very safe.
We never got anything stolen or anything happening like this. Seriously, never got a bad story from traveling around New Zealand. Now, just to make sure we are thorough enough, we wrote some notes on all the kind of different unsafe kind of stuff, just in order to kind of give you an answer. So, people-wise, there are a few suburbs here and there which people will tell you, it's not really that safe. There's some bad apples here and there. And that's usually in the suburbs of some of the larger cities. There is some suburbs in the south of Auckland that people say, you should avoid and everything. But to be quite honest, Laura and I have been to those places and we didn't see anything bad. I feel like it's because New Zealand is so safe that if, there is some more rundown houses in somewhere, people that live in New Zealand think, that's a bad place. So it's not really, there's really not any kind of place in New Zealand that, you'll get stabbed or anything like that. You know what I mean? We're not talking about places like that. So that's people-wise, this is basically the full extent to it. Sometimes they say that the east coast of the Northern Island, there is some people and there's some signs saying make sure to lock your belongings and everything like that. But again, we traveled there by campers and we had so many cameras in our vans and all those kind of things that we never had any issue. So I just people wise, a few suburbs here and there if you listen to the gossips from the locals. That's pretty much it.
But in general, just remember to use common sense like you would anywhere in the world. Like you don't leave your valuables on display in your car, and you don't go and wander down dark alleys in the middle of the night alone. Those sort of things. It's like you wouldn't do that anywhere anyway. So
why would you do it in a foreign country?
So just keep those common sense things in mind.
All right, moving on. You are going to be taking the nature safety.
So other things that some people might consider unsafe is the weather in New Zealand, especially if you're doing maybe some hikes into some more extreme environments. For instance, if you're going up into alpine environments and the weather quickly changes, or you get caught in a snowstorm or something, that could be where you might get into some unsafe situations. But these situations are very easily avoided too. You obviously can set off on a hike and decide the weather's not looking too good, maybe I should turn back. We actually have a lot of advice on that sort of thing. On BACKPACKERGUIDE.NZ, we have a whole article on that, which we'll again make sure that we link up to in the description. And it's the same thing. Like obviously, there's a lot of coastline in New Zealand, so if you're going swimming and stuff, you don't want to get caught in any rip currents. It's the same as anywhere where there's
swim between the flags.
There's lifeguards on patrol on popular beaches in summer. So go and make sure you go and swim in those areas if you're unsure whether it's safe to go swim somewhere or not, for instance. All those sort of advice and tips like that we'll put into that article that we link to in the description.
What about earthquake, Laura?
Yeah, so as you probably know, New Zealand does have a few earthquakes here and there. You probably most likely you will have heard about the one that was in Christchurch a few years ago, which was like the biggest one that happened recently. But if you think in comparison to other major earthquakes that have happened around the world, which has devastated cities and killed loads of people. That certainly wasn't the case in New Zealand, and that's because New Zealand buildings are built very well for earthquakes.
Actually, New Zealand is world leader in earthquake-proofing buildings. They're really good at that. And on top of that, I mean, let's talk about earthquake for a second. It happens so rarely. I mean, the odds of it happening to you when traveling in New Zealand are minimals.
Well, actually, like, only the huge ones are the ones that are going to be super, super minimal. But actually, small earthquakes happen in New Zealand all the time, but they're that small, you can't feel it. You don't even know it's happening.
Actually, it did happen like to where we live, because we obviously do live in New Zealand now. And it happened where we live not that long ago, and people told us, "Oh, did you feel the earthquake and everything?" And we're like, Nope, not a clue.
Yeah.
And we were here. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, we were somewhere. No, we were here. Not a clue there was an earthquake. So, it's just medias tend to blow up stories. So don't stress about that as much.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing to be safe about, again, we really want to be thorough in this question for you, Natalia, is activities. So activities are pretty safe in New Zealand. The safety regulations in New Zealand for activities are super tight. I mean, and they are inspected very often. So usually when you do an activity, it's almost 100% safe. You know what I mean? They wouldn't take a risk of doing it. They wouldn't get an insurance, and they need an insurance to operate their business. So they wouldn't take the risk to do the activities. There is so many regulations, so many safety procedures, so many inspections, activity. Although some of them are really thrilling, like bungee and everything. I actually do think that commercial bungee is still to this date 100% safe. So, it's quite crazy how safe New Zealand is in that way. So you get the adrenaline rush, you go to amazing like remote places, but you are in complete safety, which is quite cool. Yeah. Plus, almost every area in New Zealand have helicopter services for like any emergency or anything like that. So man, honestly, I can't stress enough how safe and mellow it is in New Zealand. I know we always say like, oh, bam, a lot of activities, adrenaline and everything. It's true. Your adrenaline is pumping. When you go down those caves and all this and that, wow. But you're actually really safe. Really safe. Like you really have to use zero common sense if, to actually put yourself in trouble. We do see sometimes some people going to hike the Tongariro Crossing, which is a 10-hour hike, and they go in their jandals, which is flip-flop.
They go in their jandals and they start at 4 p.m. and then
that's flip-flop, and they have no jumper and they have nothing. It's like, oh my god. Well, if you're that person, well, yes, you may have a problem. Otherwise, you kind of gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And also just kind of keeping in mind, if there is a sign, there is a reason. If there's a big sign that says don't cross there, the cliff is is literally crumbling to the sea, don't hop that because you're gonna get a better picture there. They took the time to put a sign. It's just to keep you safe. You get about the same view if you're behind the barriers. So you'll be okay. We see that, like, for example, near the town of Taupo, there is a big waterfall called Huka Falls. And there is also a big waterfall called a water like current, which is called the Aratiatia Dam, right? And almost every year, someone slip down and go down there and go drown. But you know why? It's because they hop the fence, and there's plenty of rock which are bashed by water and makes it super slippery. So, use common sense, respect the rules, and you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I do not think that there is any places which are too unsafe in New Zealand. And that's basically what we think about that.
Yeah.
Any questions, any follow-up? In the comments below. We're actually going to be putting a link to the article, Is New Zealand Safe? In the comments below, just for you, Natalia, and for everybody else that watched this video. And make sure to watch this video next week. We are coming to you guys and I wrote the time this time, so here you go. So next session is going to be on Sunday, 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So that's next Sunday, 8 a.m. New Zealand time. And for you guys, that is Saturday at 3 p.m. EDT and 12 p.m. PDT US time. It is Saturday at 9 p.m. in Europe. That's France, Germany, UK. And that is 12:30 a.m. in India.